All right, this is Block 9, The Liberal Establishment, Section 3, The Great Society, with the section The Rights Revolution. You now, in the United States of 1965, you have three major entitlement programs. Social Security, which had been passed by President Roosevelt in 1936, or 1935, 1937, I don't remember exactly. Medicare and Medicaid. And these became known as entitlements. That all Americans, regardless of your social situation, regardless of your economic situation, regardless of anything, all Americans from Bill Gates to the wino on Broad Street are just as equally entitled to Social Security and Medicare. Congress did not have to reapprove these funds every year. So the Congress that passed it in 1965 said this money is going out even if future Congresses don't vote for it. That future Congresses don't have to vote for it. If they do nothing, it just continues to go out. It is an entitlement. And it became, in the minds of most American people, a right. You have a right to your Social Security. You have a right to your medical care, to your Medicare. Most Americans see it this way to this day. However, as the American population ages and we are having less and less children per woman, these rights are under pressure. More and more people are retiring, they live longer, they have fewer children to make. So there's two things going on. The longer you live, the more Social Security you collect. The longer you live, the more Medicare you collect. But people are having less children that pay into the system to keep it funded. The massive national debt that we have in the year 2013 that you guys, and me, because I'm not that old, and my children will somehow have to figure out a way to pay for, that debt is driven, as you can see on this chart, by the big three entitlements. That this chart here is a chart of total federal spending. That 19% of our budget is spent on defense, 5% is spent on interest on our debt, and that number will continue to grow as the debt gets bigger. Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, the big three entitlements down the bottom right, that right now, in 2010, and it's more now, was 38% of the federal budget. Everything else, from education to foreign aid to roads to bridges to the FBI to the CIA to the president's wine steward, counts for the other 38%. So these entitlements that people think that they are entitled to, it's their right. It's your right to Social Security. It's your right to Medicare. And according to the law, it is. That right now is the driver of our deficit. And it's something that, you guys, as the future generation, are going to have to figure out. That this was a revolution in rights. That before Social Security and before Medicare and before Medicaid, people did not look to the government for positive rights. If you remember back to our look at progressivism, race to the training wheels of freedom, that the difference between positive liberty and negative liberty. The liberty of the progressives is the government will take care of you, so you are free to do whatever you want to do with your life. That is what Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security is. It's positive liberty. It's liberty that it's government gives you something. In this case, medical care and income. And then you're free to do with that as you please. But Americans began seeing these as their birthright, as their God-given right, that you have a right to Social Security and a right to Medicare as much as you have a right to vote, a right to own property, a right to freedom of speech, freedom of religion. And that feeling of entitlement, that these entitlements are mine and how dare you, touch them, reform them, change them, even though they are driving up the deficit, is a political problem that we as a country have to somehow figure out how to face. That we believe that these three things are entitlements, and we yell and scream if anybody wants to touch anything about them.